Well, good morning everybody and welcome back to my garage. If you remember, or if you've watched a couple of videos ago, we fitted the Hitchcock's free-flowing exhaust system to the bike, which I have to say, I've been out and had a few runs on it and it seems to be performing quite well. There's a bit more response to the engines, a bit more free revving, it's a bit noisier. Presently I'm running it with the baffle in. I found it was maybe a bit too noisy with the baffles out, but we'll see. At least it's a 2-minute job to put the baffle out and try it in different ways. But at the time, I wanted to do another improvement to just make sure that all the fueling was running really well. So I wanted to fit the FuelX Lite management unit to it. Unfortunately, Hitchcock's were out of stock at that time, but it's now came back into stock, and I finally obtained one. And that's what we're going to fit to the bike today. Basically, it comprises of two units: the FuelX control unit itself and a little short wiring harness. The white plug just plugs into the FuelX unit there, and this plug, two plugs here, but they go onto the oxygen sensor connection up here, which is a simple case of basically pulling out that connector there, plugging in one end of the connection into that port and one into here, and then running this cable back to somewhere to locate the PowerTRONIC unit. So let's go and see, where can we mount the control module. The first place they tell you to potentially fit it is under the seat, which potentially could be fitted in here somewhere, and that's a very easy way to divert the cable up and connect it in. You can cable tie it to parts of the frame, it would tuck in there, but that's not really very brilliant, I don't think. I'd like to maybe put it somewhere else. So where else could we put it? Potentially, there's not many places that are free. We'll look in these side cases and then we'll see if there's anything in there. One of the most obvious places in here, potentially, could open this up. That's it, opened it up. That's where the battery's held and the toolkit. Well, there's not much space in there. The only way we could do it is to take the toolkit out and maybe stick that in my wee storage box and carry there. And if potentially it would fit in there reasonably well and be protected. I don't really want to put the toolkit somewhere else. I'd rather leave all of that exactly as it is. You can have a look at the other side. And on this side, basically it's the air filter goes in there. No space to fit it in there, it wouldn't really. Would it work? No, not very well. You could potentially remove that cover and no, there's nothing really in there that would work. I wonder if there's any space inside this wee cover. And what's in here, I wonder. Wee thing there, I'm not quite sure what that is. There's some relays and stuff in here. Again, there is no space for the FuelX. So, what about this side? What can be in this one here? Oh, it's empty. There's nothing in there. Now that's interesting. I'm pretty sure we could fit the FuelX in here, and there's a nice wee cutaway there for the cable to go through somewhere. So yeah, this looks really promising. So I think what we'll do is we'll remove this unit. Two bottom bolts. I've got special bolts, not quite sure what you would call them. And the top bolt's fully threaded, so the top bolt is slightly different from the two bottom ones. So that comes off easy. That's a piece of cake. That lets you get into all the fuel injection system and stuff. It's quite interesting, and all the ABS control modules at the back there. I love taking my bike apart. It's a good way to see what's happening in it. So now we've got this unit off the bike, and we can see if we can find a way of mounting it. So to stop wasting any time, I have actually found a way to fit this, which suits me quite nicely. And looking at this bit, you can see this lug coming up here. There was actually two of them. There was another one, similar one coming up here, which is obviously meant to hold, I don't know, something, but it's not being used. And to give a wee more clearance, I actually cut that one away. So this lug, which was identical to this one, has been removed. On this lug here actually as well, I've also drilled two small holes for a cable tie. So there's two small holes being drilled in this lug here. And I thought, how am I going to mount this in here? It doesn't sort of sit very well, it's not too good. And I don't want it just flopping about, just lying around, bouncing around. So I went back to my bundle of rubbish and junk that I have lying around, and after a bit of searching, I came across these three items. A bit of metal with some holes drilled in it, a bolt that's slightly longer, and another wee spacer. In the FuelX, as you can see, there's a wee gap there. It's meant for using cable ties, the same at the bottom. So what I found is if I slip this wee plate through, it's a perfect fit for that wee opening. And what I was planning to do was to use this bottom hole here, which would line up perfectly with this hole here. So the idea being was to put this bolt through here, and I'm using an Allen bolt rather than a hex because it's actually easier to get the Allen key in and turn it without, so it gives me a bit more clearance. And this spacer as well, which would go through, and the original bolt will go in, and this one will potentially go in through here, and basically the spacing of the bolts and nuts on this side are identical, so that will bolt on really clean. So the next task was then to thought, right, okay, I'll cable tie the unit on, cable tie the top end so it kind of holds it in even though it's been held in with that top section, and also put another cable tie through that bottom loop and through that bottom hole. Cable tie on there. So basically it's held on really securely onto that plate. That's not going to move. So so basically now this is now ready to be mounted back in. And the idea of drilling the two holes up here was I was going to route the cable round the side here and have the connector just sitting in this nice wee slot down here, and cable tie this part of the harness onto that lug, and that leaves a nice clear entrance for the cable to come in and connect to the FuelX. And I think that's really tidy and it's securely mounted. So what we'll do now is we'll mount this back onto the bike, and then we'll wire in the other cables. So let's fit this unit back onto the bike. Again, the small bolt went to the top, and the bolts with the shoulder, the original one, goes onto this mounting here. Now we'll fit the FuelX. So again, it's a FuelX mounted onto that plate, cable tied on, so it's really solid. Allen screw through the bottom, wee spacer enough just to push it out so that it clears this bolt here, so it sits raised above it. And we'll stick that in. that is absolutely perfect. And the good thing is as well, on the top of the FuelX there is actually some wee indicator lights. So obviously they illuminate when it's working, so when it's pointing up the way you can see it quite clearly. And there was two reasons for cable tying this in here. Partly it was so the cable was held in nice and tightly, but also kind of gave a wee bit more support to the top as well. Stopped it flapping around. Come on. That's it. And through here. And just leave a nice wee place down here for that other connector to go in. So that's the FuelX now fitted in that wee housing, which it was almost like it was made for it. Okay, the next job is to go to the other side and we'll connect up the connecting cable to the oxygen sensor. Okay, now we have to connect this up and think of how we're going to actually route this cable. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll push it through because it needs to really be on the other side of the frame, so it has to cross over at some point. So we'll push it through that gap there. These two here should connect in quite nicely. And the cable's then quite easily, quite free to come around. And one. That's perfect. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll connect these on here, run it through across the frame or to the other side, and I've checked there's plenty of length. This one here connects on to the oxygen sensor part of the wiring harness, so that's on there. And this one here goes on to where the connector came from, the oxygen sensor. So that's basically how simple it is to connect these two units. It's how you tuck it away now, it's the only issue. Try and make it kind of look professional. Cable tie onto that and I'll be fine, I'll be good. Tuck under the tank quite nicely. So that's this side basically done. So what we'll do is we'll cross over to the other side now and we'll do the other side. We're now on the other side of the frame. The cable has came through. There's plenty of cable length to go in here and connect on. So that looks pretty darn good, I would say. That's it connected. And that sits in there really nicely. Really tidy. And if for service, and if this unit has to come off for any reason, it's quite simple. Just unplug it, take the screws out, the whole unit's off. Really simple, really easy. And we'll add another wee cable tie in here somewhere. Cable tied in there as well. So that's basically the FuelX all fitted. A really neat job, really secure. So what we'll do now is I'll basically put the tank and stuff back on and we'll fire it up and see if it still goes. That is basically the FuelX now fitted. All the tank and seats back on. All it needs just now is to basically start the bike up and see if she runs. We'll check the lights on the FuelX and see what actually happens there when it's actually running. So we turn the ignition on. Obviously goes through a self-check system and then the lights are off. But if we give it a wee rev, see what happens. that's the FuelX now fitted to the bike. I hope you found it interesting, and especially if you're considering fitting a FuelX Lite to your own classic 350. I think the location I've put that one, I think, is absolutely ideal. It's almost like it was made for it. Why did I fit it, and what's the benefits? Well, according to Hitchcock's, it's meant to eliminate or reduce jerkiness and stalling. It's meant to increase torque, give a better engine throttle response. The engine should run cooler, and it's meant to enhance the engine life. So all good things. The features of the Fuel Lite has one auto-tune map. So once it's fitted, there's no other settings to do. It automatically monitors the engine, what's happening in the engine, and adjusts itself automatically. It's cool and happy running engine. Quick plug and play installation, which it is. It's water and heat resistant, shockproof, and works in any altitude levels with improved throttle response and a quick and easy installation. Anyway, for now, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Bye for now.
Well, we're out for a wee test run on the bike to see how well it performs with the Hitchcock's free-flowing exhaust system and also the FuelX Lite. It's definitely louder than the standard bikes, that's for sure. And at the moment she's running with the baffle in. At the moment she's plodding up here in top gear up that hill without any trouble at all. It certainly tools better. I mean, that's up to 70 mile an hour without any trouble at all. She's never been that quick before. I would think she could actually, we've got under geared now, she could pull a slightly higher gearing. But she's still nice to just potter around in at slow speeds as well, which is where this bike is ideal. It was never a bike for performance and to be thrashed. Well, in conclusion, what do I think? Definitely noisier than standard. It's definitely got more torque, mid-range torque. It pulls to its maximum speed in each gear. Definitely much easier and quicker. Yeah, it's all pretty good, I would say.